Good morning, everyone. I'm going to lead you through a practice today that is invigorating and enlivening and will open you up to the flow of life force that hopefully will carry you through the rest of your day. It's a wonderful practice to do in the beginning of the day to invite in that energy and aliveness. So let's begin just by coming into a comfortable yogic seat. And I think what I will do is move over onto my mat. And I'm going to invite you to actually sit without a blanket underneath you, if you can. And if the hips stick up in the air, that's okay for a moment. We're not going to be staying here for very long. And I invite you to take the flesh of the buttocks and remove, as they say at Kripalu, remove your magnificence so that you can feel your sitting bones rooting down and also the tailbone rooting down into the earth. So you feel that triangle of support. And from that base of support, lengthen up through your spine, all the way up through the crown of your head. Softening the shoulders down away from the ears, rolling them back and down, feeling the heart spread wide. So as you are supported, rooting down into the earth and connecting with that vast expanse of sky above you, perhaps touch into your own heart center as the meeting place between those two polarities, earth and sky, between the world of the concrete and the ethereal, heaven and earth meeting right in your own heart center. And if you'd like to take a moment to set an intention for your practice, an intention that you can bring into your day, a quality of being that you would like to cultivate today, bring that into your mind and heart. And then bringing the palms together, the thumbs gently rest at that center point in the chest. Let's seal that intention with the sound of Om. Deep breath in, exhaling to Om. Om. And take a little bow, letting the chin come toward the chest. And then lifting up, bring the hands to the outside of the knees and draw the heart forward, roll the shoulders back and down, arch the spine a little bit, look up. Exhale, rolling the spine the other way. Roll back onto the back end of your sitting bones all the way toward your sacrum. Pull the navel in and bring the chin to the chest. And with breath, we're going to rock forward and back, opening the heart, arching the back in a extension and then flexion of the spine as you roll back toward your sacrum, chin to chest, navel draws in. Inhale and exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Just syncing up your movement and your breath and your attention as you take these rocking cat-cow movements. And on the next exhale, we'll let the knees lift and keep the chin tucked. And I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see, but we're going to come into rock and roll on the spine. Keep the chin tucked and the upper back rounded so that you roll better. And you can bring your hands underneath your knees. That might be a little bit more comfortable and easier to rock. Hug your thighs in toward your chest. Keep the chin tucked. If you need a gentler version of this rocking, you can always just hug your thighs in toward your chest and wrap your arms around your folded legs and just let them go. Then hug them in and then let them go. So at least you're lifting and lowering the low back and sacrum area. If you want to take this rocking to a deeper level, you can cross your ankles, grab opposite big toes, and let the feet come overhead, almost like in a plow pose with feet crossed. And then rock all the way up into your sitting bones and take that little cat stretch, arching back, looking up. So find the depth of rocking that feels good for you as you massage all those nerve endings that run up and down the spine, inviting stimulation of the chakra points, those energy centers that run along the spinal nerve. Opening the heart as you come up, letting the feet come overhead as you come back, or taking it gentler if you need to. One more round, lots of breath here. And then exhale, hug the knees in toward the chest, and just rock side to side. And then settling into stillness on your back. I rocked all the way off of my mat there. From here, bring the hands to the knees and begin to circle the hips in opposite directions. So the knees are opening wide, far apart from one another, and then the thighs hug in toward the ribs, inner thighs come together, press the knees away and circle. So what we're doing here is we're stirring the hip joint with the head of the thigh bone to lubricate the hip joint and bring that synovial fluid, that natural lubricant that's in your joint capsule to prime the pump, so to speak, so that you'll have more flexibility and fluidity there. Switch directions of your circle, see how it feels that way. You're also activating your core a little bit here. As you press the knees away, you can probably feel your abdominal muscles engage here. And then clasp your hands as you bring the thighs in once again toward the ribs. Clasp your hands around your right shin. Extend your left leg long along the mat. Flex the foot, press out through the heel. Let the whole back body get long here as the backs of the shoulders anchor down into the mat. Tuck the chin a little bit so the back of the neck stays long. And press toward the back of your mat with the crown of the head. And hug that right thigh into the rib cage with the knee angled slightly toward your armpit. Wind relieving pose. And the purpose of this pose is exactly what it sounds like. It massages the colon and the lower intestine and relieves any excess air that might be in there. So if anything happens, it's supposed to happen. And then on the next inhale, see if you can lift the left leg off of the mat and just let it hover about a foot above the floor. And exhale, bring the chin to the chest, roll the head and shoulders off of the mat, and see if you can hold here for a few long, slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. You can release your hands to deepen this practice, turning the palms up, reaching your fingers toward the front of your mat. Feel the core engage, bring the chin toward the chest. See if you can lift the whole upper back and shoulders off of the mat. Those turned up palms are in a gesture of receiving. And it reminds me of a saying that I heard once, that Spirit's grace is always pouring down on us, and all we need to do is to remember to cup our hands. One more breath here. And slowly melt down the head and shoulders. Let the left leg release. And slide the right leg out to meet the left. And just come into Shavasana for a moment. corpse pose, just to integrate that sequence. Notice the difference between your right side and your left side. And then when you're ready, you can hug the left thigh in toward the ribs, get long through the whole back body that's connecting with the mat. Press out through the heel. Tuck your chin slightly so the back of the neck lengthens. And then hug that thigh a little closer in toward the left ribs. On the next inhale, you can lift the right leg, let it hover. And exhale, chin to chest, nose toward the navel. See if you can keep the entire upper back and shoulder blades lifted off of the mat. Release the hands if that feels available. Turn the palms up to receive that grace pouring down. That energy, that prana, that life force. Drink it in. If you're familiar with the ujjayi breath, you should engage that here, which is a gentle contraction of the back of the throat. So the breath makes a whisper sound. You can feel it brushing the back of the throat here. Otherwise, just stay with long, slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. And when you're ready to release, slowly let the head and shoulders melt down. The right leg melt down, and then once again find your way into Shavasana. Just feel the reverberation of that practice. And then from here, once again, draw the right thigh in toward the ribs. And this time, I'm going to invite you to come to hand-to-toe pose. So you can bring your peace fingers around your big toe and press your heel up toward the sky. So your leg comes perpendicular to the body. Now, if you need to, you can get a strap. I'll grab my strap here. If you have a strap or tie, you can hook your strap around the sole, the instep of the foot, just around the arch of the foot. And make sure that the hands are reaching toward the feet so that you don't have too much slack at the end of your strap, which makes your elbow bend. You want to have that long line of energy through the arm, but you want to keep the shoulder nice and relaxed without letting it pull up too far toward the foot. So if you find that you're grabbing your toe and your shoulder is lifting off of the mat, then that's a good sign that you need to either use a strap and let the strap be like an extension of your fingers, or you can simply reach your ankle or behind your calf. You want to invite that right leg to go vertical, straight up and down, and either using the strap or the fingers around your big toe. If you can open that leg out to the side, keeping your sacrum flat and keeping your left buttock on the mat, so the hip pointers stay facing up to the sky. Keep your foot in line with your hip if you can. And then let the left arm come out to T position. So you have a nice wide open line of energy through the heart center from hand to hand. And wide open in the hips here. Feel a lovely stretch in the inner thigh. Lots of breath here, in and out through the nose. And when you're ready, you can slowly draw that right leg up to center and slowly release. Come into Shavasana for a moment just to notice the difference between the right and left side. And then we can take it on the other side. Hug the left thigh in and either bring your peace fingers to big toe, pressing out through the heel, or use your strap so that you can Comfortably lengthen that leg. If you have tight hamstrings and there's a little bend in the knee, that's fine. And what we want to do here is find a pulse with the breath, so that on the inhale you soften a little bit, just a micro bend in the knee. So you're going to back off from the stretch on the inhale, and on the exhale you're going to press, give it a little push, give it the juice on the exhale. So you're going to press that heel to the sky, feeling that wonderful lengthening through the back of the left leg. So on every inhale, soften just a little bit. Every exhale, give it a little press. And it's just a subtle movement. It's not something that is really noticeable like that. It's just a very subtle pulse of energy here. And then keeping the sacrum flat and both buttocks staying connected with the mat. You can open up your right arm to T position, and using your strap or your hand to toe, open out the left leg toward the left. Keep the foot flexed and level with your hip. And so you might need to take a little energy here, keeping that right buttock connected with the floor. Feel it as a lovely hip opener. Feel that opening through the heart center. Long line of energy from hand to hand. And one more deep breath here. Lovely hip opener and inner thigh stretch on the left side. And then slowly draw that left foot up to center. Release your strap or your hand. Come back into Shavasana for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And release that sequence. Let it go. We'll do one more thing lying on the back. Bend the knees and bring your legs into an L shape. Kind of like you're sitting in a chair on your back. So you're going to bring your lower legs parallel to the floor and your thighs straight up and down. Let the arms come out to a T position, palms planted down into the mat. The backs of both shoulders are going to remain anchored down into the mat here too. Try to keep your inner thighs together. If, when you do this, your inner thighs want to splay apart, you can take a block, if you have one, and place them in between your knees, and that will activate your inner thighs to keep your legs properly aligned. So keeping that 90-degree angle with the legs, inhale, and exhale, let them float down to the right, but let that outside edge of the thigh and knee hover over the mat. So you're keeping your abdominal muscles engaged here. And keep the knee at hip height. Inhale up to center, nice and slow. Take the whole breath to come up. Exhale to the other side. And just let that knee and outer edge of the thigh above your knee just hover about an inch above the floor. So you're not completely releasing into the twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. And flowing side to side. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling, slowly lowering the knees down and letting them hover. You can add to this an upper spinal twist by letting the head turn in the opposite direction of the knees. So the knees come up to center, head comes to center. Knees come down to the left, head turns to the right. Flowing with breath, syncing up your breath, your movement, and your attention here. And do one more round each side so you can feel complete on both sides, left and right. Letting the breath set the pace of the movement. And coming back up to center. Once again, hug the thighs in toward the chest. Give yourself an embrace. And then releasing, rolling over onto one side. And slowly press yourself up into table pose on hands and knees. Knees right under the hips, the wrist crease right under the shoulders. And we'll take some cat-cow, kneeling cat-cow. Inhale, drop the belly, spread the heart. Draw the shoulders back, look up, lift the sacrum as you drop the belly. Exhale, opposite stretch, chin to chest, navel tucks in, press the floor away. Syncing up your breath and your movement and your attention. And then on the next cow tilt here, you're going to press the low belly toward the thighs, curl the toes under, stretch the bottoms of the feet, press out through the heels. As the fingers are spread wide, press down and forward into the hands. Keep your knees nice and bent so we'll come into a slow motion entry into downward facing dog. Press the low belly toward the thighs and find that long diagonal as you lift the hips a little bit higher. From your sacrum all the way down through the back body, through the arms, into the fingers and thumbs and into the earth. So you're actually pressing beyond your hands into the earth. And then send one heel down and then the other into the mat, slowly taking your dog for a walk, lengthening the back of one leg and then the other. And then sending both heels down into the earth, heart sinks down low toward the mat. Sacrum lifts, low belly keeps reaching toward the tops of the thighs. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then inhale, come into your plank pose, bringing the shoulders over the wrist, arm bones stacked, body in one long line, press out through the heel. So notice, you can even look under your body, notice if your butt is sticking up in the air or your hips are sagging. You want that firm core that holds the body in one long line. If you need to take knee down, variation, that's fine. Big breath in, and then exhale, lower down knees, chest, and chin, leaving the buttocks up in the air, toes curl under. This is the looking under the couch pose for the cat toy. Hands are underneath the shoulders, draw the elbows in, and then draw the heart forward, coming into, first we'll start with a low cobra, just lifting the chest, keeping the lower ribs on the mat. Draw shoulders back, reach the toes long behind you, and press the tops of the feet into the mat. See if you can press all 10 toes down. The pubic bone stays anchored down into the mat. And then if you can, lift your hands. See if you can keep that balance. Keep that lift. Reach the hands back behind you. Interlace the fingers. Draw them to the back end of your mat. Lift, lift, lift. Squeeze the shoulder blades toward the center. Draw the heart forward. And then releasing. Hands come under the shoulders. And press up through a cat stretch. And just take it into a child's pose for a moment. It's a nice opposite stretch from that little back bend that we were doing. Exhale completely. Inhale, come back up into your table. Curl toes under, back to downward facing dog. We'll take that again. This time we'll come into full cobra if it feels available. Otherwise, you can stay with the baby cobra. Inhale, plank pose, firm core. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Buttocks up in the air. Draw the heart forward and either stay with baby cobra or peel the whole torso off of the mat and anchor down through the pubic bones. You want to keep your pelvis rooted. Soften the elbows. Roll the shoulders down away from the ears. Spread the heart. Big breath. Look up. Exhale, roll down. Let the forehead touch down. Third eye touches the mat. Press up through plank or table and back to downward facing dog. From here, we're going to bring the right foot through into a low lunge. You may want to take this with a three-legged dog. If that feels available, you can sweep those right toes up back behind you. Keep the heart low. Exhale, step it through into a low lunge, lowering left knee down. Right knee firmly planted over ankle, sweep the hands forward and up. You're going to need to engage the inner thighs toward the center line of the mat. Reach up into that kneeling warrior. Soften the shoulders. Your kneeling warrior can either be hands separated, or you can have your hands in a sword-like pose, interlacing the fingers with pointer fingers to the sky. Root the tailbone straight down into the earth and lift the navel in and up. Exhale, hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers and spread the heart wide. Courageous warrior. Lift the clasp hands a little higher and draw them to the back end of your mat. Exhale, release. Hands frame the front foot, and step back into your plank pose and flow through your connecting vinyasa. Knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, cobra, low or full. And releasing on the exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Anytime you need something gentler, you can always come into your child as an option to downward facing dog. One more breath here, in and out through the nose. We're going to step through with the left foot so you can reach the left toes high if you'd like to take it into a three-legged dog. Step it through, land gently, lower the right knee down. Lengthen from the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. Come up onto fingertips or fists, or even using blocks underneath your hands so that you don't have a rounded upper back. Roll the shoulders back and down. Inner thighs engaged. Sweep the hands forward and up. Find your expression of warrior, either celebrative with the arms wide or sword-like. Maybe you even want to be a goddess warrior here, bringing your arms into goddess arms. Shakti warrior. And then finding that courage to open your heart nice and wide, no matter what. To live with that open heart. Clasp the hands in yoga mudra. Big breath in and release. Hands frame that front foot. And step back into your plank pose. Will flow one more time through your connecting vinyasa. Some of you who practice chaturanga to upward dog might want to take that. Otherwise, stay with the knees, chest, chin to cobra, landing in downward facing dog. From here, step or walk or hop the feet between the hands to come into a forward bend. Create as much softness in your legs and the backs of the legs as you need to, so you can take a micro bend in the knees or an even deeper bend if you need to. Let the head be loose. Find some movements of the head. Yes, what you're saying yes to today. Say no to what you're letting go of. And find a little maybe nod just to open to the mystery of it all. We're going to drop the hips halfway here and release the hands and come into your chair pose. Palms come pressed together in prayer position in front of the heart. You're going to bring your weight into your heels a little bit more, so you don't want to stick your butt out. You want to have your back body as upright as you can comfortably do here, like you're really sitting in a chair. You can even lift your toes a little bit so that your weight is more supported in the back part of your foot. Yes. And then arms reach and rise. Reach up through the right fingertips, left fingertips. I'm going to take it into a side bend here, interlacing your fingers in that sword-like pose or temple pose. Lengthen up from your root to your fingertips and come into a standing half moon here. And just take a couple of breaths here to expand through the side body. That's expanding. If I'm mirroring you, it would be your left side here. Expanding as your fingers reach toward your right. And then inhale up to center. Lengthen up, bring the upper arms in line with the ears if you can. And other side. Pressing the right hip out to the right. And coming up to center, palms return to the heart. So I'd like to take it into a little balance play this morning, or whenever it is that you're practicing. Perhaps you're practicing in the afternoon. We're going to begin standing in mountain pose with your shoulders stacked over your hips and your knees in line with these two hip pointers. I'll come back a little bit so you can see me better. The two hip pointers in front of the pelvis, the as-is bones line up with your knees and your ankles line up with that. From here, I'm going to invite you to step, I'll mirror you here, your right foot back into a balancing warrior pose. So you're going to be on the ball of your foot. This is also known as crescent lunge. It's a variation of a warrior pose. So you're on the ball of your foot, your toes pointed straight ahead on both feet, hips squared to the front, tailbone rooting down. So that pubic bone is going to come forward just a little bit. And the arms can reach high into that spirit of warrior. Where is it today that you need to find your strength, your determination, your fortitude, all the while staying in balance? Everything that we do on the mat, every pose, every posture that we practice on the mat has a psycho-spiritual benefit. So it's not just about stretching and strengthening the muscles. It's also about bringing in, inviting in different qualities into our consciousness. So here, power, strength, fortitude, and balance. And then from here, opening your arms into beautiful, elegant crane wings, we're going to spring off into flight to bring your right knee to your hip height. Soften the elbows, soften the wrists. Let the shoulders relax a little bit here. The standing leg has just a micro bend in it. If you need to dip your toe in the water to be like a crane, just dipping its toe in as they do, that might be a nice way for you to steady yourself if you need to. And then for those of you who want to take this to a little more challenging practice, you can wrap that right leg around the left. See if you can wrap your ankle. Keep your hip squared to the front. Let your right elbow come underneath your left and come right into eagle pose, Garudasana. It's fine if wrapping your foot is not available. You can just place your toes down. Or you can take a block on the outside edge of your standing leg to support yourself. Get nice down deep into your eagle pose, lift the fingers high, and then when you're ready, you can open your wings, come back into your crane, and from here, we're going to take that leap of faith, bring the shoulders forward, step that back foot back, land gracefully and silently on the ball of your foot. Back into your balancing warrior one. Palms come together, we're going to take it right into a prayer twist. Upper right arm to the outside of the left knee. If you need to lower your back knee, you can, or you can split the arms, placing one arm down and one arm to the sky. So take whatever twist feels available to you. Releasing the hands. Step the back foot up to meet the front foot. Big breath in, half forward bend. Take a half lift here, bringing your shoulders in line with your hips, long spine. And then exhale, release, fold over the legs. Soften the knees, arms sweep to the sides and up to the sky like the rising sun. Palms come together and draw them back to the heart. We'll take that sequence on the other side. If you used a block, you can move it to the other side of your standing leg. What will be your standing leg? Shoulders over the hips. And from here, step back with your No, step back with your left foot and be on the ball of your foot, hips squared. Come into that spirit of powerful, focused warrior. What is everybody, each one of us has some personal battle that we are working with, either in our relationships, in our work life, in our personal life, whatever it is. Let this medicine of the warrior stance invite in the courage and strength and power that you need to move through that gracefully, mindfully, lovingly. And open your wings, lifting up into your crane pose. Soft elbows, soft wrists, knee at hip height. Make sure in your crane pose that you just let the foot dangle. Sometimes in crane, people want to bring their foot back toward their standing leg. You just want to let it dangle so that it just makes an L shape here with your leg. So either dipping your toe in the water and perhaps just practicing crane today as your balance, that's just fine. Softness in the standing leg. You don't want to lock the knee. And when you're ready, you can come into your expression of Garudasana eagle pose. Now, if it's hard for you to wrap the wrists in eagle pose, you can just bring the backs of the hands to one another as you tuck the left elbow underneath the right. Thumbs want to point toward you. Lift the fingers to the sky. So either wrap the wrists or not. Or use your block if you need to. Get nice and down deep into that squat. And as you're ready, one more breath here. You can open back up, spread your wings, take flight as crane. And then take that leap of faith, that graceful leap of faith back, landing on the ball of your foot. Hands reach to the sky. Palms come together, and either take the prayer twist, upper left arm outside right knee, pressing into the palms to roll that right shoulder open, see if you can look up at the sky, or take a revolved side angle twist if that feels more stable for you. And releasing when you're ready. Step the back foot up to meet the front foot, long spine, half forward bend, back of the neck long. And exhale, release, soften the knees, and sweep up, rising sun. Palms come together, hands come back to the heart. And we'll take a few moments of pigeon pose to have a little bit of a hip opening practice. So I'm going to invite you to come back into your table pose and slide I'll mirror you here. You can start with your right knee behind your right wrist and walk your left foot back. See if you can wiggle your right foot a little closer to your left hand. You're going to square the hips. And if you notice that there's a lot of space between your right buttock and the floor, then you can take either a block or a folded blanket. I prefer blanket because it's a little softer and it has a little bit of give to it. Come up onto your fingertips or fists so that you get that lovely, elegant pigeon open heart, melting the shoulders down the back body, reaching the crown of the head up to the sky. Keeping the hips squared, so you don't want to come into that tilting open with the hips. So you want to draw your right hip back just a little bit and your left hip pointer forward. And if you have a variation that you enjoy in pigeon, I'm going to just give a demonstration here for those of you who want to take it into a little juicier exploration. You can bend the back leg, reach back for your back foot, And kick back into pigeon dancer pose. Maybe lifting the front hand into the dancer mudra with thumb and first finger joined. Keep the hip squared though here if you can. Or you can bring the heel close to the buttock, coming into preparation for mermaid pose. Maybe full mermaid pose will be available to you. If it's not, it's fine just to stay in this very basic Ekapada Rajakapatasana, one-legged king pigeon pose. And if you'd like to take a moment of folding over that front knee, that front bent leg, coming into resting pigeon, you can take that for a couple of breaths. And coming back onto your palms, fingers spread wide. If it feels good, you may want to press back into a downward facing dog to stretch the backs of the legs before coming into pigeon on the other side. So float the knees down and slide the left knee behind the left wrist. Wiggle that left foot a little closer to the right side of your mat. And slide the right leg back. Square the hips, square the shoulders with the front of the mat too. Let the heart be shining wide open. And if you need some support underneath if there's any space between your buttock and the mat, then you want your body to really feel that support so that it can trust you enough so that it can relax into the openings and the releasings. And any variations here that you played with on the other side. When you do this lifting of the back leg and drawing it either in toward your buttock or kicking back behind you, the tendency here is for the hips to open out to the side. So you need to be very mindful of that. You may need to even bring a little more height underneath in this case, your left buttock, so that makes your center of gravity a little easier to find when you have a little bit more lift. Breathe and enjoy any variations. It's fine to come right into resting pigeon if that serves you well. And take a few moments in that resting pigeon. Finding long, slow, deep breaths. And when you're ready to release, one more time, if you'd like to press back into downward facing dog, stretch the backs of the legs. And then melt the knees down. And coming onto your back, we'll close our practice with one bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana, which is also a mild, a gentle inversion, and a back bend and a heart opener. So align your feet so that they're hip width apart, the heels in line with the center of the buttocks. Bring your hands down by your sides. Walk your fingers toward your feet. And from here, we'll roll up, lifting the low back, lift the sacrum, lift the lumbar spine, lift the middle back, lift the upper back. See if you can tuck your shoulder blades toward one another. Press into the feet. Lift the hip pointers to the sky. If it's available to you to interlace your fingers, if you can keep your arms straight here, it will help you get and sustain that lift. Spread the heart center, press the top of the chest toward the chin. Lift the hip pointers to the sky. Lift, 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 and breathe. Keep the hips higher than the heart higher than the head. That makes it an inversion. Anytime you need to come out, you can always come out mindfully, rolling down from top to bottom. If it's available for you to hold for 2 more breaths, see if you can do that. And when you're ready, you can release your hands, slowly roll down from the upper back, down to the middle back, down to the lower back. Hug your knees in toward your chest. We'll take it into happy baby. You can bring your hands to the outside edges of your feet or inside edges, or peace fingers to big toes, or grabbing your ankles if that's easier. You want your feet to be flexed, your legs in an L shape as you draw your thighs to the outsides of your rib cage. Lower legs go vertical. And you can play here in your happy baby pose, perhaps rocking side to side. I love the way this pose reminds me of the time in my life before my ego developed, before I compared myself with any other bodies or people, before any self-judgment ever entered into my mind. Before I could be critical of anyone or anything. That was that happy baby. And that is actually our birthright, to return to that level of consciousness where we're not dominated by the ego. And as you're ready, please bring the soles of the feet together and let the outside edge of the feet rest on the mat. Let the legs splay out in a diamond shape. And if you need to, you can place either a block, a couple of blocks, or your fists even underneath the outside of the thighs. Just allowing the shape of the pose to invite an opening in the hips, a stretch in the inner thigh. And if your hands are free, you can bring one hand to the low belly, below the navel, the other hand to the heart, center, right in the center of the chest. And follow that wave of breath that moves from the low belly, feeling the belly rise as it expands. Through the rib cage, feel the rib cage widening. And finally, the chest lifts as you draw the breath up to surround the heart with life energy. And then exhale from top to bottom, softening chest, emptying ribs, emptying the belly, drawing the navel in toward the spine. In and out through the nose. Belly expands. Ribs widen, chest lifts. Exhale, chest softens, ribs release, belly softens, navel draws in and out through the nose, eyes closed. Just connecting with this most sacred rhythm of life. The inhale and the exhale. And then bring the hands to the outsides of the thighs and gently invite the thighs to come back together. Give yourself another embrace, hugging the thighs in. And then you can slide your feet toward the front of your mat. Let the palms turn up. Let your feet be a little wider than your hips and let the toes flop out in opposite directions. Coming into Shavasana. The arms are about 45 degrees from the body, the palms turned up, because this is a practice of receiving. Just letting all of that prana, that life energy that you've opened up to and cultivated with each deep breath and with each posture. We're now inviting that prana to come streaming into every cell and every organ, every muscle, even every bone. And just let the eyes close and allow yourself to receive that prana. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva tvameva bandhus chasaka tvameva tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. This is a beautiful prayer in Sanskrit, which means, you are my mother and my father. You are my friend and my beloved companion. You are my wisdom and my wealth. Oh, Supreme God, you are everything to me. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva tvameva bandhus chasaka tvameva tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Slowly begin to deepen your breath and bring some movement into your fingers and into your toes. And find any movements that bring you back into your body and into present time. Maybe you want to take a long stretch, reaching your hands back behind you, your toes to the front of your mat. Grow really long. And then circle the arms down, once again hugging your knees in toward your chest, embracing yourself one more time, rolling over onto one side, coming into that primal yoga posture, the first yoga posture you ever did before you were born. And then slowly press yourself up to your yoga asana, or yogic seat. That's the original meaning of the word asana, is seat. Once again, finding that polarity, that connection between rooting down into the earth, lifting up into the vast expanse of the heavens, and feeling your own heart center as the meeting place between the two. And then once again, bringing the hands together in front of the heart, perhaps touching in once again to that quality that you invoked, that intention that you set at the beginning of your practice. And may you take that quality off of your mat and into your life, in all that you do, in your words, thoughts, and actions. So that the yoga becomes a living part of your life, in all aspects of your life. Let's close together with the sound of Om, taking a deep breath in, exhaling to Om. Namaste. The divine in me sees and bows to the divinity in you.